Hi, I'm Alpha, and this is my 5-minute morning show. Going to jumpstart your brain first. Here we go. 35% of Americans say that they have actually gone to work with this situation with their clothes. What situation would that be? 35% of Americans have gone to work with this situation with their clothes. We'll have the answer to that in 5 minutes, which starts right now. Well, I'm not going to say much about the healthcare thing today. I mean, they're battling it out. The Republicans are still trying to fight it, still trying to find ways against it. Certain states are filing lawsuits. All I'm going to say about it is this. If you like to go to tanning beds, and it's that time of year where people like to get a tan, get a jump on the spring and summer, well, if you do, then you're in for a bit of a surprise, because from now on, there's a 10% surcharge on your tanning sessions. Did you know that? It's all part of the healthcare bill to help pay for other people who don't have insurance. I don't know if Snooki and the situation were Republicans before this, but if they weren't, they probably are now. If you don't know who Snooki and the situation are, it's because you don't watch this show called Jersey Shore. And if you don't watch the show called Jersey Shore, you're probably a lot better off. Although I did hear that this show is going to be syndicated to 30 different countries. 30 countries around the world will now get to know the true meaning of insipid. And when you do learn that, tell the people at Jersey Shore what that means. They probably don't know. All right. At work, the question dealt with work, and I read this the other day about there is a new diagnosed mental illness, and it's called blue-collar depression. Now, people in blue-collar jobs have every right to be depressed as people in white-collar jobs. They've even got a name for it now. They are suffering blue-collar depression. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel bad for anybody who's suffering depression. It can be very debilitating, but have you noticed we've gotten a lot more depressed over time? Or maybe we've just started putting names on it, and so now we're catering to that sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, they felt depression too, but what did they do? They walked it off. I'm sure there were some days when Neanderthal man just felt like, you know, it just doesn't pay to get out of the cave today. You know, I'm got to invent fire and try to cook some meat, and that dinosaur's bearing down on me. You know, they had to be depressed. And the Dark Ages and the plague, that couldn't have been very happy times. And I can't imagine a scene playing out where pioneers are going across the Great Plains and looking ahead the daunting Rocky Mountains, beautiful and majestic, yet very dangerous when winter sets in. And they got to get across those mountains in just a few weeks before winter does come along. And there's Lemuel sitting alongside the trail. Ezekiel, I'm feeling I might peak it today. Haven't been the same since the Comanches made off with my wife and gored my favorite ox. Well, Lemuel, I've had my wife, Martha, whip up a poultice for you. I don't know, Ezekiel, don't know as I could take a pill right now. Oh, it's not a pill, Lemuel. It's a suppository. She's smeared it on my boot. Now get up and get going before I apply it for you. You know, they had to get up and walking off. They had to do these things. Now, I don't know if we're just a generation of pansies and wussies, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm part of that pansy, wussy generation myself. I'm nowhere near as strong as my dad and my grandfather were. And it's just sad that we've come to that. We've got to make up excuses or find excuses for our behavior. And don't get upset if you're depressed. You know, I understand. Like I say, I sympathize. I sympathize with Ann Coulter, too. I mean, that may be difficult to say because she says some things that are totally outrageous. I agree with some things she says and some of her stands, but some of the things I disagree with, and some of the things I think are just way over the top. Love her or hate her, she's got a right to speak, doesn't she? She was invited to speak at a college in Ottawa, Canada. Now, granted, she would probably say things that'll be outrageous, but you know, she wasn't going to cause any harm. She wasn't going to hurt anybody. She wasn't going to start any fires. But the people who didn't want her to speak certainly were coming there to potentially hurt somebody. 2,000 protesters, left-wingers, I suppose, showed up with sticks and rocks, according to police. They even set off fire alarms. And then the whole speech had to be canceled because of the threat it posed to Ann Coulter and others who might have been there. If I didn't know better, I would swear that left-wingers really have a problem with free speech, and sometimes freedom in general. You think if it was some radical Islamist who was there or some anti-American leader, they would have shown that kind of passion about not allowing that person to speak? Agree or disagree, they do have freedom of speech, don't they? This is still a free society. Last I checked it was, wasn't it? Hoping it stays that way. It's a free society for one monkey in St. Pete. This little guy's been on the loose for months now, and they can't seem to capture the darn thing. Not even sure where he came from, but he shows up in people's backyards and steals their fruit and jumps in their pool. He's harmless unless you corner this little guy. They have tried to capture him. In fact, some wildlife experts have said they've shot him with tranquilizer darts time and time again, and they think he likes it now. I think their first clue was one day he was standing on a roof going, "Hey, you with the dart gun, shoot me! Shoot me! Come on, shoot me! If you don't, I'll poop in my hand and throw it at you." You think that monkey's got his monkey on his back? He probably does. Okay, running out of time. So here we go. 35% of Americans have done this, have had this situation with their clothes when they went to work. What is it? They've gone to work with the price tag still in those brand new clothes. Happened to you? Hey, I worked with a woman once who showed up at work and her pants were on backwards. She realized it when she got there. And no, it's not what you think. She was a happily married woman, woke up and got dressed at home and all that stuff. Out of time now. I'm Alpha Trivette, and that's my 5-minute morning show. See you next time.